So today is Easter, and of course, on this day, uh, we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and this represents what's called a decision. And a decision is something that means it's an event where it's a turning point that's irreversible. So if you look at the American Civil War, the Battle of Gettysburg is thought to be a decision because once it's fought and it's lost by the South, a lot of historians believe that it's impossible for the South to win the war. At this point, it's only a matter of time. And so when Jesus dies on the cross and then he's resurrected, this represents a decision for the rest of the world, for all of creation, where now the victory for God and his kingdom is inevitable. And Satan has lost this war, and his defeat is inevitable. It's just a matter of time at this point, which is not to say that there aren't going to be battles in the future, there aren't going to be struggles and difficulties into the future, but nothing at this point can happen to prevent the victory um, of Christ's kingdom on earth and in heaven. So that's the idea of a decision. And interestingly, in 2026, because of the Iranian War, about 250 years after the War for Independence that America fights in 1776, there's another decision here where now is pertaining to American or America as a preeminent global superpower. So with this war, it's going to be an irreversible turning point. And there's going to be a few reasons for that. One is that actually the Constitution itself is not actually capable of renewal. Certainly not to the point of achieving um, global superpower status, but even simply for having a stable, coherent, harmonious, righteous, and just polity. The Constitution is actually not capable of enabling that. All right. So, that kind of begs the question to be asked, how did we actually become a superpower if the Constitution was really that terrible? Well, the reason is because America in a sense got lucky, right? And that's it in a single word. But if you look at uh, where America started, how comparatively weak its rivals, the so-called Native Americans, were. If you look at the strength of the starting culture and its ability to exert power and to build industry and so forth. If you look at the placement of the territory in between the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, if you look at the timing of the world wars and so forth, what you actually see is the equivalent of a family winning the lottery. Okay. Now, it doesn't mean that family is particularly financially responsible. It doesn't mean that the family is well ordered. It just means they have a lot more money all of a sudden than everybody else in that neighborhood. And so for the time being, it looks like they're doing something right. Okay. But that is an illusion. It's not actually that they are doing something right. So once the money runs out, you know what happens to lottery winners, that they don't do too well. And so that's what we're seeing right now. The Iranian war, especially because we're at this point where we have almost $40 trillion in debt, um, from what economists say that we can no longer keep up with even the interest payments for this. So our debt is just increasing more and more. But also, in a diplomatic sense, we've lost way too much credibility. It turns out that the actual military is not really maybe capable of fighting modern contemporary wars. It seems like the reputation of the United States as being politically coherent and having strong leadership that has basically vanished with the fact that um, Donald Trump has been elected twice. And so we're talking about how the world perceives the United States and actually what the United States is capable of from here on out. If the military is outdated and if the polity is in great debt, then what we have is a irreversibly collapsing empire. So, um, but you know, if that's the case, then those are some things that you need to consider regarding your life moving on forward.